What if I told you that the brief, mysterious mention of the sons of God and the Nephilim in the book of Genesis is just the tip of the iceberg? What if there is an entire story, so profound and so astonishing that it was intentionally locked away, banned from most of the Christian Bible? A story of celestial rebellion, forbidden knowledge, and a race of destructive giants whose actions brought the world to the brink of annihilation, prompting the Great Flood. Today, we are diving deep into forbidden texts like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees books that were preserved for centuries in the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible to uncover the full, untold story of the Watchers, the angels who sinned. Why was this story deemed too dangerous, too mystical, and too controversial by early church leaders? What secrets about fallen angels, their giant offspring, and the cosmic battle between good and evil have been hidden from most of the Christian world? Stay with me, because this story might just change how you see the entire Bible. To understand the depth of this forbidden history, let's start with what we know. Most of us are familiar with the short but intriguing passage in Genesis chapter 6. It reads, "When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." This passage leaves us with more questions than answers. Who were these sons of God? Many ancient texts, including the Book of Enoch, interpret them as angels, just like the Watchers. And who were the Nephilim? Giants, heroes, corrupt beings. The Bible tells us that it was after their appearance that wickedness on earth became so great that God decided to cleanse the world with a flood. Genesis 6 says, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time." But the Standard Bible doesn't give us the details. It only hints at a terrifying connection between angelic sin, the emergence of the Nephilim, and a world-ending catastrophe. To get the full story, we must turn to the texts that were lost to the Western world, but preserved as a spiritual stronghold in Ethiopia. The Book of Enoch, particularly its first section known as the Book of the Watchers, reveals exactly what Genesis only hints at. It tells us that a group of 200 angels, known as the Watchers, were sent by God to observe and guide humanity. However, instead of fulfilling their mission, these Watchers, led by their chief Semyaza, became corrupted by their lust for human women. They made a pact with each other on Mount Hermon, swearing an oath to defy God's command, descend to earth, and take mortal wives. This was not just an act of lust, it was an act of open rebellion against God's divine order. These angels left their proper dwelling, crossing a forbidden line between the spiritual and physical realms, and forever changed the course of human history. The Book of Enoch describes how they descended, took wives, and from these unions a new race was born, the Nephilim, a race of giants. These beings were not fully human, nor were they angels. They were the embodiment of corruption and chaos. The Bible briefly mentions the Nephilim as heroes of old, men of renown. But the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees paint a far more terrifying picture. The Nephilim were giants whose nature was violent, corrupt and destructive. They consumed all the resources of the earth, ravaging everything in their path. When the food produced by humans was gone, they turned on humanity itself. And finally, as the Book of Jubilees states, in their insatiable hunger, they began to devour each other. Their existence unleashed unprecedented violence, lawlessness, and moral decay upon the world. The world was plunged into chaos. This was not just human sin, it was a corruption introduced by fallen angels. The earth groaned under the weight of these monstrous beings, and the cries of humanity reached heaven. It was this total corruption, caused by the Nephilim and their angelic fathers, that became the final straw leading to God's decision to send the great flood. The sin of the Watchers was not limited to creating the Nephilim. They did something even more insidious. They imparted forbidden knowledge to humanity. The Book of Enoch gives a detailed account of how different angels taught humans arts that God had not intended for them. An angel named Azazel taught humans how to create weapons, swords, knives, and shields, leading to the spread of warfare and violence. Others taught sorcery, enchantments, and astrology, turning humanity away from the true God and toward the occult. They even taught women the arts of cosmetics and ornamentation, which were seen as tools of vanity and corruption. This knowledge, much like the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, opened doors that were never meant to be opened. It accelerated humanity's moral decay, filling the world not only with physical violence, but with spiritual corruption, a direct corruption of God's natural order. God could not allow this evil to continue. His response was twofold. First, to cleanse the earth of the physical corruption of the Nephilim and wicked humanity, he sent the great flood. This was an act of both judgment and mercy, a divine reset to save humanity through Noah and his family from complete self-destruction. Second, he passed judgment on the Watchers themselves. God sent his archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel to execute his verdict. They captured the rebellious Watchers, bound them with everlasting chains, and cast them into the abyss, a place of darkness where they would be held until the final judgment. This detail is strikingly echoed in the New Testament. The Apostle Peter writes, "For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment," 2 Peter 2:4. The Epistle of Jude says something similar, Jude 1:6. This proves that the story from Enoch was well known and accepted by the early Christians. So why was this vivid, detailed, and terrifying story excluded from most Bibles? The reasons are complex. Early church fathers, particularly after the Council of Nicaea, feared that such mystical and speculative accounts of celestial beings and cosmic battles might distract believers from the core message of salvation through Jesus Christ. These texts were seen as too mystical and risked opening the door to heresy or division within the early church. However, in Ethiopia, a spiritual stronghold that preserved these ancient texts, the Book of Enoch was never banned. It has always been a revered part of its sacred canon, offering a deeper understanding of the nature of evil, the reality of spiritual warfare, and God's all-encompassing judgment. This story is not just an ancient myth. It is a powerful reminder of the cosmic struggle between good and evil, the dire consequences of rebellion, and the truth that even the most powerful beings cannot escape God's justice. It reveals the depth of corruption that required a solution as radical as the flood, and shows us just how serious the spiritual battle is that continues to rage all around us today. What do you think about this forbidden story? Do you believe it should be more widely known? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you want to continue uncovering the hidden secrets of the Bible, be sure to like this video, share it, and subscribe to our channel.